So the butterfly effect basically is this idea that if one thing changed historically, everything that followed would have changed, right? There's also the transitive property. You guys know what the transitive property is? If A equals B and B equals C, then A must equal C, right? The problem with the math problem is that it doesn't account for the butterfly effect. Here's what I mean. We do this in sports where we say, well, the Seahawks beat the Falcons. The Falcons almost beat the Cowboys. So the Seahawks must be better than the Cowboys because of score differential. Or, pick the team that loses a game. If the Raiders beat the Saints tonight, Saints beat the Buccaneers, the Raiders must be better than the Buccaneers. That would be the transitive property. It works in math, doesn't work in sports. And I think there's a litany of reasons why. One is the butterfly effect. Cam Newton played last night and looked like a really good quarterback. Does he still overthrow guys? Sure. But the arm strength is there. That was a big question mark. The accuracy to Julian Edelman was better than you could have expected. He remains a big-time athlete. He looks thinner than he did when he played with the Carolina Panthers. He looks effective. He looks terrific. In a league where we just salivate, rightfully so, over what's happening in Arizona with a diminutive quarterback, what's happening in Kansas City with Pat Mahomes, what's happening in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, what's happening in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, we need to remember, Cam Newton, he's doing some things. Is he those guys? No, but he looks very much the same as he did during his best years in Carolina. Granted, early on, it was Dolphins, and then it was the Seahawks, and the Seahawks don't have a very good defense this year statistically, although it's really early. But I think the butterfly effect is perfect because if not for COVID, everything changes. How could he have been on the market so long? Well, he wasn't able to go work out for anybody. The doctors weren't able to examine him. And at the time when he got released by the Carolina Panthers, before he got released, before he cleared waivers, if you wanted him, it was $19 million for a guy who's had leg problems and surgeries and shoulder issues. I ain't doing $19 million for a dude I can't even evaluate, and I don't know if his shoulder will hold up. And then once he became a legit free agent, timing of it was, hey, teams had already decided that they're drafting quarterbacks, and they didn't need one immediately. And the Chargers, however ill-fated you believe the decision is to Tyrod Taylor, their thought was well, Tyrod Taylor's been here. He knows the offense. We can't have off-season workouts. He's already under contract, and he's healthy. We don't know if Cam Newton's healthy. So we'll stay there, and then we'll draft Justin Herbert. So I think that we need to at least understand that while Cam Newton, some didn't love his prospect, a lot of it was how he was throwing a football, his overall career accuracy, and now you throw in we can't even evaluate you because of COVID. It was impossible. And the Patriots are just the perfect team. One, the schedule starting with the Dolphins really helped them. Two, you have a coach who he has worked with running quarterbacks before, going back to Jacoby Brissett a couple years ago, and previous to that when he drafted Tim Tebow in Denver. They have a great culture, and Cam Newton has bought into that culture. What would have happened? Give me another quarterback-needy team. If he went to the Chargers, would they be 1-1? I don't know. Justin Herbert played pretty well. Would he have been better than Tyrod Taylor in the first game of the year? I'd like to think he would have. But their offense would have looked completely different. And now without Mike Pouncey, I don't know how well they would have done against the Kansas City Chiefs. Plus, they couldn't evaluate. Plus, they didn't want to offer him a bunch of money because they have Joey Bosa and others to pay. Go around the league. Joe Burrow was going to the Cincinnati Bengals no matter what. From Ohio, number 1 overall pick. They need a quarterback. The Miami Dolphins had tanked for Tua. They already had Ryan Fitzpatrick. Their plan was already set. Like, those are the teams. Do I think Denver would have taken a look? Maybe, but Drew Lock is way cheaper, younger, athletic, and they had drafted him. People want to see the guys they draft succeed. It makes them feel like they're smarter than everybody else. You know, you also have team control over what his contract looks like for several years to come. Cam Newton is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He won't play for $1 million again. There will be a good market for him. I don't think every team in the NFL will go after him. But, you know, you got people like, well, the Bears. I should point out that while I believe he's a better quarterback even now than Mitchell Trubisky, aren't the Bears 2-0? They are 2-0, right? Check my standings. And they need to figure out if they're going to pick up a fifth-year option. And they got Nick Foles, who, again, part of the Nick Foles thing was they knew who Nick Foles was. Nick Foles is a great backup. Cam Newton can't be a backup. He can't. Cannot be a backup. Not in his DNA, not what he's ever been. The one time he was at Florida behind Tim Tebow, and he hated it. And maybe that's why he got in trouble. Maybe he acted out. It's a very reasonable psychological response. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, but I do think that many of us who have done stupid stuff, like yours truly, have done things because they were unhappy in other parts of their young lives, and psychology will tell you maybe that's the reason that they acted out. So, I think it's fascinating. I got one more thing for you. You are going to hear. So let me sum up the Cam Newton thing really quickly. Had COVID not happened, he probably would have been somewhere else. If he was somewhere else, making more money. If he was somewhere else, there's no guarantee of success because you're not playing with the line, with the culture. Remember, the Patriots were built to be a run-first team. You had the complete buy-in of guys like a Julian Edelman. You have inarguably the best coaching staff in football. Like, all of those things helped Cam Newton become Cam Newton. If he goes to the Dolphins or goes to the Bears, there is no guarantee. One thing changes in history, and the rest of history is different. That's what the butterfly effect tells us.